Mr. Speaker, I have an amendment at the desk.
The clerk will designate the amendment.
Amendment number 67, printed in Part A of House Report number 118-147, offered by Mr. Obernolte of California.
Pursuant to House Resolution 597, the gentleman from California, Mr. Obernolte, and a member opposed, each control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from California.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The FAA is responsible for administrating and certifying pilots in the United States. The certification of these pilots takes place in the form of written tests administered at a test center, but also in the form of practical tests that are usually administered in an aircraft or in a simulator. These practical tests are conducted by either FAA examiners or more usually designated pilot examiners. This is a system that's worked well for decades, but a recent problem has arisen where pilots who are applying for certification who need practical tests are encountering large and unacceptable delays in the scheduling of those tests. In fact, some of the pilots that I've spoken to in the preparation of this amendment had to wait over 12 months for the scheduling of a practical test. I think we can all agree that that is unacceptable. It's not fair to the airmen. It's not fair to the FAA. It's not fair to the pilot community. It's detrimental to the advancement of the aviation industry. This amendment is a very simple fix to that problem. It would direct the FAA to implement an accountability program to ensure that no applicant has to wait more than 2 weeks for the administration of a practical test. I think this is a common sense solution. It works for the FAA and for the applicants, and I would urge its adoption. With that, Mr. Speaker, I would reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves. For what purpose does the gentleman from Georgia?
I claim the time in opposition to this amendment.
The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you. I rise in opposition to this amendment, which requires the FAA to ensure that pilots can schedule a practical test within 14 calendar days of requesting a test. What this amendment fails to consider is that the FAA does not schedule these tests. These are independent individuals who have decided to take on this responsibility as a personal choice. They work around their own schedules, birthday parties, weddings, and doctor's appointments. This amendment would actually add additional bureaucracy and would therefore be counterproductive and an administrative nightmare. Moreover, the underlying bill contains several provisions to assist with expediting pilot certification. For instance, the base language already increases accountability and transparency for scheduling these tests, and even includes a web-based scheduling tool to assist pilots. The committee developed a solution on a bipartisan basis to help with this specific problem of delays in pilot testing. Therefore, I oppose this counterproductive and burdensome amendment, and with that, I'll reserve.
Reserves. The gentleman from California is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I would strongly object to characterization of this amendment as burdensome. If you want an example of burdensome, think about a student pilot who has applied to get their pilot's license. Mr. Speaker, I have been a certified flight instructor for almost 30 years. This is a situation that I have experienced. When you're a student pilot, you don't know exactly when you're going to reach the level of proficiency required by the federal aviation regulations. So you train and you train and you train and you sweat and you work, and finally your instructor says, you are ready to take the test. So imagine a student in that position applying for a test and being told it's going to be months before they can be examined. Mr. Speaker, I can tell you from personal experience that flight proficiency is a perishable commodity. You cannot go several months without flying, hop into a cockpit, and expect to be at the same level of proficiency that you were. So we're adding burdensome regulation on our student pilots when we expect them to maintain their proficiency for however long it takes the FAA to schedule that exam. So to be clear, this amendment does not direct the FAA to make its inspectors available. It directs the FAA to make the resources available to implement an accountability program to make sure we have a sufficient number of pilot examiners to make this situation better. 2 weeks is an industry standard consensus. The FAA has agreed that that's a reasonable period of time. This just makes sense, Mr. Speaker. I reserve.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from Georgia is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the party that eschews regulations, we now have more regulations being proposed, and these regulations are unnecessary in this case. Again, it's up to the particular applicant to schedule the test for themselves. If they delay in doing so, then of course, why would we want to punish the federal government by forcing the federal government to offer them a test in 14 days that they could have scheduled themselves had they been more efficient with their scheduling? And let's continue to rely on personal responsibility in this regard, and let's make sure that the onus remains on the applicant to schedule the testing, and with that, I'll reserve.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from California is recognized.
Is the gentleman prepared to close? I yield myself the balance of my time, Mr. Speaker. To be clear, this is not a scheduling problem on the part of the applicant. The applicant doesn't know exactly when they're going to be ready. The applicant doesn't know when the weather is going to cooperate. Particularly for the base level of pilot's licenses, you need good weather to be able to take the test. This is just talking about the amount of time after an applicant says, I am ready, before which a designated pilot examiner can administer that exam. And I think we can all agree that that should not be a year. This is a common sense amendment that would solve that problem, and I would urge its adoption, and I yield back my time.
The gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Georgia is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have an app on my phone, and I can look out for at least 10 days and determine what the weather will be projected to be in a particular location. That technology is available to all. All should use it, particularly those who are looking to fly the public or fly themselves or their families. They are charged with personal responsibility to make sure that they schedule a test in accordance with their own particular schedule. Their schedule is up to them. We need to allow the FAA to work within its means to schedule testing on a first-come, first-served basis, and it's up to the applicant to make sure they get in where they fit in. And so I'd ask that we oppose this amendment, and with that, I will yield back.
The gentleman yields back. The question is on the amendment offered by the gentleman from California. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.